All right, so welcome. Episode 4, Holland&Hobbs. How was
Man,
your
four already?
4? We on 4.
And this was just going to be a post-election talk. Remember?
That's how it started. And now
Yeah.
here we are, a month in. Well, yeah, it hasn't been a month. Yeah, it's 4 episodes, 4 weeks. So we're a month in now.
A few people like it, I guess.
Well, we got one fan, the one with the Holly Hobbit.
Oh, yeah.
That was interesting. She said,
Mm-hmm.
shut up. My
Shut
20,
up.
my 22-year-old daughter's name is Holland. We call her Hobbs, short for Holly Hobbit, because she had massive feet as a baby.
That's funny. I saw that she had said that, and it made me laugh because, uh, back in the 80s, I guess they didn't know if it was like what the gender was going to be.
Yeah.
So, you had to have just a boy name and a girl name picked out. And my dad really, really wanted my name to be Holly if I was a girl. And my mom was like, absolutely not, because then I would have been Holly Holland.
Oh, so you would have been really connected with this individual.
Well, my mom thankfully
You was
said
almost Holly
absolutely
Holland.
not. She said Lauren was a beautiful, unique name. I'm like, yeah, said you and all the other moms in the hospital that day. Like, such a unique name.
Maybe it was unique at the time.
It was only unique because like they only knew so many people. So like if the few people they knew didn't have a baby named that, then it must be unique.
Mm.
But all the other moms thought so too.
I do like that we kind of looped in with, Lord of the Rings. I'm a little bit of a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not huge. Like, I know enough to get me through some trivia. If there's a trivia question, I can get you a couple answers. That's how, and also that comment came off the tree clip. You talking about you love trees, so it just fit right in.
The only thing I like about Lord of the Rings is that quote about not all who wander are lost.
Mm.
Because that's kind of like my little like life motto in a way. Other than that, not a fan.
So, the church I used to attend, there was a preacher there. He no longer preaches there, but I knew he was going to be a good preacher from his vibe. So like the first time I went and like I met him, I took Eli there for something, and he found out that I kind of was like a nerd, a little bit of a geek.
Yeah, I'm a nerd too. It's fine.
So he goes into his office and he reaches under his couch and he pulls out the Aragon sword from Lord of the Rings. Whole sword, like sword.
Okay.
I mean, he pulls it out of the blanket and pulls
Like,
it out.
Can you like unalive somebody with this
It
sword?
wasn't sharp. It was
Okay,
dull.
okay.
It was dull. It was like a replica.
Because otherwise,
But I was like, you know what? Me and you gonna get along. Like, I like you. He'd have been a good preacher too. He was very good. I liked him a lot. But fortunately, he stepped down. But
I feel like a lot of the good ones do. I'm sure it's a stressful job.
you know what? That's why I think he did though. I think he did because it was. I think it was politics in the church.
I mean, obviously, I've never been a preacher, but I feel like a lot of times that's the case. But that's usually on the church, not the preacher.
Yeah.
It's usually the good ones that step down for that reason.
That's unfortunate too.
It is
It really
unfortunate.
is. It really is unfortunate.
But I have to think if he was good, he's still good. He's still doing good stuff for God. He just isn't doing it from that pulpit.
You know what? And then, after he stepped down and his kids coincidentally got into hockey, and it was months later, I saw him at the ice rink, and I saw his wife, and I spoke to her like, "Hey, how you doing?" Woo woo. She was like, "Yeah, such and such. He's you see him? He's down there." I was like, "Where?" I know. And she pointed to him.
He had a sword, didn't he?
No, he didn't have a sword. Man, he looked like he could have been a 13th disciple. So he had on a hoodie, and he grew his hair out. I was like, oh, you in your comfortable phase of life right
Like
now.
when people are in the military and they're out for a little while, and then all of a sudden they have like really long hair and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. He can shake it. I was like,
I love
okay,
that.
I see you, fella.
He was living his dream.
He is. He enjoying life right now.
That's good.
But how was your weekend?
Did we have a weekend? I don't know. It feels like a blur.
Well, I was stuck in Tupelo, Mississippi, which I must say, driving in Mississippi, no matter where you go, it feels like it's nothing on the way to Mississippi.
Doesn't it really make you question how they're so much ahead of us in education? I still think about that.
Like you cross Alabama state line, and it's like you see nothing but land. It's like
And it's flat.
Yeah, and it's the occasional house you pass in nowhere. but you just drive, and there's like nothing around until you get to your destination. It feels like that's everywhere on the east side of Mississippi.
Yep. And and I just can't stop thinking about how they're still ahead of us in education.
They're doing
It
something
feels
right.
like they don't even have electricity, but yet they're ahead of us in education.
They're
I
doing
said
something.
feels like. I'm not stereotyping. I'm
But
sure
I
y'all
mean, we went to Tupelo and was in Walmart, and there was a shirt in Walmart that said, "Where is Tupelo?" So I mean, they are self-aware.
But I think, isn't it really close to the Tennessee state line?
Tupelo, no. We had to go through Red Bay, so it was like under Muscle Shoals.
Yeah, yeah, but it's still very close to Tennessee because, like, I think Elvis was from Tupelo.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But a lot of people um, from there, like, found their way to Memphis back when all the good music was getting put out and stuff.
One of the attractions for Tupelo was Elvis' birthplace.
Uh-huh.
We didn't go by there. Someone's like, this little small house.
Yeah,
I'm not that much of an Elvis fan. To go see
No,
where Elvis was born.
but Graceland's really cool if you ever, like, are up there needing something to do for a minute.
I've never considered going to Graceland.
It's pretty cool, honestly. It's only because if you like old stuff, you don't even have to really like Elvis. Like, it just feels like you're walking around in a gaudy velvet time capsule. And I really love velvet furniture, as we have established.
Maybe one day we'll see the pink Cadillac.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, we was there for a soccer tournament, and it was such a long tournament. It was hot outside.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the whole weekend, it felt like it was hot. It felt like we got fall weather, and it like spoiled us for a minute. And then this weekend, it was back to being 90 degrees.
So one thing about me is I have reverse seasonal depression. Like, I feel like a lot of people get it in the wintertime because it's cold and dark and all that. And I love the winter, but I get it this time of year. And then we had those couple of weeks that were pretty nice. And I knew this was coming. Like, I knew that was fake fall. And I still, like, got my hopes up, you know? And I told Wyatt the other day, I was like, what comes after depression? Because I think I'm, like, the next level after depression now. Because I don't know, it just makes me sad and cranky, and I just am in a, like, perpetual kind of bad mood with this heat.
Well, that heat definitely brought out a lot while we was up there. so
Did it bring out a lot, or was a lot just already there? It's hard to say, right?
I don't know. Well, so we was there. My daughter plays soccer, which, like I said, that's why we were there, soccer tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the goalie for the A team. So she's playing like the best competition that was there for her bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the goalie. And coincidentally enough, I had already said on the first day we was there that Saturday, I told her, like, this has been your best weekend of playing goalie. Like, she was on it. I mean, she was covering balls, diving, jumping, being aggressive,
Just
attacking. Yeah. She was on it. I'm like, where is this version of Olivia being? Like, can we carry this?
My
when
kid
we
is the
get back
same way.
home? But yeah, so the next day, this will be the second day, Sunday, which we had a game, and we're going to be playing the number 4 team in Mississippi, like, in their state.
Are they ahead of us in soccer too?
I don't know. Well,
I'm a little bitter. I'm
so
sorry.
Funny enough, even in the soccer world, you leave Alabama and the rules change. So here in Alabama, my daughter plays 12. She's 12U. She turns 11 and this month.
Does she
11.
play up or?
No, she's playing her now. This is her bracket. She's 12U, so she turns 11. 12U will be 12 and under.
Well, it's
12,
not like
under
that with
12.
softball.
It'll be under 12. So we got there, and in Alabama this year, they took away punting from goalies. So goalies can no longer punt.
Okay.
Now, she moves up next year to 11v11, which is the regular size soccer. Apparently, Alabama said that they wanted the goalies and teams to be able to learn to play the ball from the backfield, not just kick it far and then someone goes and get it. They want to try to teach them how to play it and push it up.
So is it easier, or, like, are we just going easy on them in Alabama and then the real world happens
That's
in Mississippi?
how I feel
okay.
like it, because part of learning soccer is also playing the ball out the air. And they're at the next step for them is playing regular full-size soccer.
Because I don't do soft versions of sports.
Yeah, to me that's what it feels like. But also in Mississippi, not only could they punt, which we can no longer do here, they can also do headers, which is hitting the ball with your head. They can do that. Uh,
Well, you can't do that here. I thought everyone in soccer could do that.
no, you can't do
Well,
that.
might not be skilled enough to do it, but like
No,
I thought that was just part of soccer.
11v11 when you can start heading, which is essentially 12 and up. 12 and up is when you can start heading the ball. Mississippi, nah.
Okay.
You can go and do that now.
Savage. They're like,
you can do that now,
Yeah.
Mississippi. Now that was for a certain age group that you can head, which was hers. But the one thing that all kids can do, slide tackle. So even the little kids,
you can tackle in soccer?
yeah.
See, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a very sports inclined person. Not that one though. I really am clueless on soccer.
So the thing of slide tackling is like, you slide into baseball, you slide into the base, you can
Right.
slide into the ball. And that's called a slide tackle.
To like get it away from another
Yes,
person.
correct.
Okay.
Now, if the person hits the ground, they hit the ground. But long while you play the ball, you can slide into the ball.
Is there targeting?
in soccer?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Okay.
But
Because I feel like that could get nasty.
apparently it did because some of the Alabama teams got there and they saw boys from other teams doing it, and they were they went to the refs and were complaining. They're like, hold on, so we can slide tackle? And they're like, okay, well have that.
They're
in
like,
boy.
we've been dreaming of
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
I was like, have that in boys.
Because we took Ruby to her first and the only one she's been to Havoc game this past season, and she was like, I don't even like hockey. I'm like, you've never been to hockey? Like, it's pretty fun. So we go, first fight breaks out, and there's like stars in her eyes. She's like, wait, they can like beat each other up? I'm like, well, kind of. Like, there are some consequences, but yes, it's like accepted pretty much. She's like, that's awesome. Like, you could just tell she was like, I wish I could beat people up in sports.
That's how it starts. You see, go to your first hockey game, see your first hockey fight, and you're hooked.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew she was that type anyway. Like, when 8U basketball, she's like almost getting fouled out. I knew
She's
that
aggressive.
was on.
She's aggressive.
She's aggressive.
Okay, you got to tell her to calm down. She's a
Well,
calm down
she has
kid.
gotten better because I'm like, fouls are good. That means you're like doing something, but like they need to be like more strategic. Like we can't just like throw bows because somebody looked at us wrong.
Move out the way, boss.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, a whole different rule changes, and we went to Mississippi, and I was like, this is so Alabama.
See,
we come across state lines, and we can do more.
I guess in softball, like, so the game turns into like the real game when you go into 10U because that's when their kids are pitching to each other and like
they know how to play.
the real rules, like
Yes.
like drop third strikes and stealing bases, that kind of stuff. And then the ball does keep increasing in size, and it increases. It'll increase one more time when we move to 12U, I think, and then the pitcher moves further back. But I feel like that's pretty softball wide, not just Alabama. Like, I think I
think soccer started getting competitive when you hit about that age, that 10, 11-ish age, because that's when I say you go to 9v9 soccer. That's when you stop telling them to stop grouping up. They already know how to work the field. They should already know how to pass the ball, how to shoot, how to make runs.
Right.
Yeah, it's about the same with soccer too as well.
Okay. I just don't like watered down, but I don't mind working your way up as far as like age. You got to learn before you can throw them in completely, but I don't like watered down sports.
Don't change the rules and make it easier.
And or
don't baby them. Let them learn.
Right. Or safer. I mean, I want it to be safe.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like they've got equipment for that, right? Like,
well,
yeah,
while I was there on that Sunday, we went to get lunch because we had one game on Sunday, and it was like 2:00. And check out for hotels typically 11. So we left the hotel at 11. We're like, we'll go get lunch. They'll take about an hour, and then her other team had a game too. Like, hey, we can watch them play. You already be at the field, so you can start warming up, and then we'll already be there for your games. Well, at this lunch, who would have known what would have happened? So I've been assuming, like, in my mind as a parent, as a dad, like I knew the day was coming. But I don't feel like I was mentally prepared for it.
You never are. I'm not mentally prepared for it as a mom, but you can say it.
She hit that womanly cycle, turned into a woman.
So was she kind of prepared for like what to expect? Had y'all been talking about it? Because
We had the conversation a couple times. She said she's in 5th grade, and
mm-hmm.
a couple of people in her grade had already started. So we kind of had these conversations. Like one day she came to me after school, got in the car, and she said, a girl in her class had started. And I was like, well, that happens to you. You go to, get some tissue, put it in there, go to the nurse, let them call home.
Yeah.
And even, my wife had a conversation too about what to do, what not to do. She kind of had prepared
So
a kit, a little fanny pack she can have at school just in case it happens.
I need to do the kid thing. But so the best thing that could have happened for us, and I didn't even know it was the best thing. But we went out of town with some friends, like on a girls' trip or whatever, and her older daughter started for the first time on that trip, and she was kind of prepared too that it was going to happen eventually. Blah blah blah. But Ruby got to see like firsthand how that goes, and like
the process.
Ruby was like, wait, what? Is she okay? Like, is she gonna be okay? Like, she was so alarmed, right? But then she was okay, and Ruby's like, okay, so you're like, okay, you don't die or anything, probably not. No, I'm like, I feel like that was the best, because it's one thing to talk about it, tell about it and stuff, but to like witness it go down like firsthand and then see the person limp to tell about it, I felt like that was the best case scenario.
So my daughter has a friend that's already have started hers.
Okay.
Her close friend.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've already talked to as well. So
and see, all Ruby's friends, they've talked about it, but nobody has yet.
Yeah.
All they're going off on right now is like their older sisters and stuff. But Ruby's like, well, I know a girl. I watched it like happen, and she was okay.
So when it happened, I was outside the restaurant. I wasn't even inside. I had a situation.
Did she play it cool? Did she play
I
it cool?
think so, because like I said, I was outside on the phone dealing with a situation with my son who wasn't with us, and I checked my phone, and my wife is like, we're not at the table, some of our food has came, and I was like, okay, do you need me to do anything? And I started walking back in, and she was like, it started. Now me as a man, I'm like, oh,
Mayday, Mayday.
Yeah. I was like, well, do you need me to do anything? Do you need me to run to the store? Like, I don't know what to do.
You were more startled than she was, probably.
I'm like, what do you need me to do? So I go to the table, and they're not there. They went to the bathroom. I guess they're handling whatever. And I was just like, I'm here if you need me.
Emotional support.
Now, I am glad that Mom was there.
Yeah.
It's great benefit that Mom was with us in Mississippi when this happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with Ruby, we've talked about it, and she's like, well, what if I'm at my dad's? And I'm like, it's fine. He knows what they are. Like, it's okay. Just tell him. I'm sure he'll call me. Like, it'll be fine. He knows what they are. Don't stress out. Like.
And, funny story, so side story, the reason I kind of said the friend had already started. And then Olivia, a few years ago, was on a team with some girls, and one of them had also apparently, had started it. And there was a funny story with her. We had this moment where we were scrimmaging. It was like players versus parents, and it was me versus her. And she beat me in a move or something like that. And she said, "I'm a woman." She was so happy. It was hilarious.
I love that.
And her dad was like, "Shut up, stop talking."
I love that.
And then after he was like, yeah, she started her cycle. I was like, that was hilarious.
That's amazing.
She just blurted out, "I'm a woman." Like everybody just died. Because we all knew it in the moment.
That's great. That's a good story.
Be quiet. But
I do love it.
When my wife and my daughter, they came back to the table, I just tried to joke with her. I was just like, well, you're not gonna forget it. I'm like,
gotta start paying rent now.
And I was just like, your first time in Tupelo, Mississippi. You always remember the first time when it started. One day if you have a daughter, you're like, well, I was in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Hadn't been back since.
But the crazy thing is, of course she had a game.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only goalie.
And that sucks,
She is she's the goalie on the roster.
You're hot, sweaty. That sucks anyway.
So I asked her, do you feel it? Do you want to play? Do you feel like playing? Like, I wasn't going to force her to play. Like, I don't know what she's going through.
I'd have forced her. I'm like, what are we going to do without you? What? World moves on. Come on.
I asked her. So, we ended up going to the store. We got what they needed or whatever. And we went to the field. And it was hot. And like I said, that day it was the number 14 that she was
Yeah.
playing, and they played like the number 14. I mean, she was working. I was
Might have
like,
gave her like an energy boost or something.
it might explain the entire weekend. Like I
Might
said,
have.
it was her best
Like a
weekend.
surge of
It's something.
estrogen.
Like her Amazon was coming out. She was Wonder Woman out there.
Love
She
it.
even left with she had like a rug burn on
Yes.
her jawline for hitting from diving.
Battle
so much.
wounds.
Yeah.
I love a good battle wound.
But we got, I got her some ice cream. She had ice cream the day before because she plays so well. Plus we out of town.
Well, you
Gotta
know,
get ice cream.
funny enough, like Tiffany, that's his wife, and I have talked about this before anyway, with like how moody they are and stuff, and like, we've like, lamented together on the moodiness of this age and like, so my thing is like, okay, well, you're gonna have the mood anyway. Might as well just go ahead and start and get the other part.
That was
over
one
with.
comment she did say to her. Well, this is why you've been moody all week. She did have a little attitude.
All week,
the whole
I'm like, yo, you've been moody last year.
Yeah, she never had attitude that whole week. Well, yeah, we got the ice cream before we left, and then we went home. And then it was Monday, so my son had a football game after school, so he didn't. We didn't have to pick him up, and I pick up my daughter from school, and we've been wanting to see Demon Slayer. We're like, well, this is the perfect time. My wife is not an anime fan. My son's not really into anime. Me and her can go see Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
When I tell you, went to that movies, she was smashing snacks. I like this part of the
It can be
experience. I mean, so we got some popcorn, and then she asked for some candy, and I was like, well, just me and you. We saving money by not bringing the other half of the family. so I got her some
Is
candy.
that they call girl math?
I don't know.
I don't know.
She said it too. Like, Eli's not with us, and Mom's not with us, and she did.
We're about to wild now.
She definitely pointed out.
I love it.
She had an icy, so she was smashing the popcorn. Ate all her candy. We even got a refill on the popcorn. She ate more popcorn. I got me some Milk Duds. I ate like half the box, and I gave the rest of her. She smashed those, and then we left. We were leaving the movies.
Sounds more like the Munchies.
Man, we were leaving the movies, and she asked for to go to Great American Cookie to get a cookie. I was like, Olivia, you just had 2 things of candy. You had like a whole bucket of popcorn by yourself. You had an icy. You don't need a cookie. And then she goes in there and say, what about boba?
I mean, how is she not already like in a sugar coma?
You know what? I was like, you know what? It's your first time this experience.
YOLO.
Yes. I
know that's like an old, outdated saying, but hey, YOLO, I don't care.
We went and got boba too. We went and got her boba. So she had her day. Monday.
She'll remember that day forever though.
Yeah, Monday after the post soccer game, she had a ball with all the snacks and the popcorn, boba.
Good for her.
she
Good for you.
She went in.
I love that.
But I will say, yesterday was a little rough. So, she had a little rough night, stomach aches.
Yeah.
As a parent, I guess even as a dad, is like, see your little girl sick and you really can't really do anything. I went to the gym, and on the way back home, my wife, she texted me, said she threw up. And she was like, I got home.
That might have been all the crap she ate at the theater.
Well, I thought so too, but she was like, no. Then she was like, it was like entire ramen that came out.
And ramen? Ew.
She was like an entire.
Did it look the same?
Yes.
Yikes.
And like all of last night, she just felt sick. And she ended up sleeping on the couch. I slept on the sofa. I let my wife sleep.
Bless.
She took care of the throw up while I was gone. So I took care of it that night. And then she had to work 2 in the morning. So I was like, okay, I'll sleep on the sofa.
That's great teamwork.
Yeah, she woke up and she was like, you was like in a fetal position. I was like, well, I'm on like the love seat. I'm not even on the full couch. Like, I don't have that much room. I only got 2 cushions.
Yep.
So
you're like survival instincts take over. Yeah.
I definitely woke up a little rough. But yeah. She had a little episodes here and there. She was waking up out of her sleep sick and stuff like that.
Bless her heart.
Well, it was late in the morning, and she woke up sick again, bent over in the trash can, and I went and got some crackers. And this morning when she woke up, she said, "Dad, thank you for the crackers. They were life-saving."
Sweet girl.
I was like, hey, I'm glad, glad to help. Glad to help. But yeah, this has definitely been an experience.
This too shall pass. That's what I always try to remind myself.
That's your Lord of the Rings reference?
This too. Was that from that?
Yes.
I don't know. I just feel like
No,
that's
you shall not pass.
No,
You
this
said-
too
he
shall
said, "You
pass.
shall
Like
not pass."
nothing bad
Oh,
can
yeah,
last
no.
forever.
But it is different when you, I guess it's like, as a male, you date women and you get married and they experience it. It's a different feeling when it's like your little girl going through it.
Never mind that your wife gave birth to 2 children. You're like, yeah, it's fine. You good?
I mean, I think it is a different,
It's
it's a
not
it's a different sympathy you have.
okay. Okay.
I mean, I appreciate definitely what she went through giving birth.
Mhm.
It just when she
My
was,
favorite is when a man is like, it felt pretty much like childbirth, like a kidney stone or something. What did you just say?
that I do not know of. I have not personally experienced anything that would give me any kind of like.
And even if
comparison
you
to
did, why would you say that? Like,
that. How do you
no,
know?
sir. No, sir. That was not like childbirth.
Well, hopefully I don't experience anything.
I hope
before
you don't
do
either.
that.
But if you do, the words out of your mouth better not be like, it was pretty much like childbirth. Okay?
Yeah, but
That's your pro tip for the day.
But even like like I said, going through that the weekend and dealing with her being sick, and then you try to get on social media to try to get like a little like break or relief from life, and it feels like it's been so negative.
Do you?
For like the past. Sometimes it's an escape. Let me just. Sometimes you get that doom scrolling. Let me just see what's on, and I swear it's been so negative for like the past several days.
I mean, some of the stuff you like have shown me, I'm literally like, why do you associate with some of these people?
Some of it is too is like, do y'all need help? That's
No.
honestly like what you want to say to somebody.
No, they do need help. Yes.
It's like, what are you reading?
That's
that
what
makes you
that's
so
what's
angry?
gotten our country in this mess in the first place. They need help. Like there's mental things going on there and they need help. But they don't get help. They just get guns.
I agree. I agree. Because I saw one guy, all his comments have been left, radical left, da 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 da, and I'm just like, what are you reading? Because even we go with the shooting last week, everything that they've said have pointed to a guy that's associated to the right.
You're right, but also, and I don't know that we should even go down this rabbit hole really, but now that the dust has started to settle a little, they're trying to paint it like but actually he went to the left. Oh, well, that's convenient. Cool.
Trying to change the narrative up.
Yeah. Like, he was in a trans relationship with his roommate and stuff, and I'm like,
I did see a couple people.
right, and
trying
also
to
there's
post
no
something he was
Epstein
trans.
list.
Yeah.
Show us the list. Like, you're.
Which even that we found out was a problem. That's why, speaking of podcasts, you don't put podcasters in charge of the FBI. So we found out there should be qualifications when you get a
really?
position. Not just loyalty.
Well,
You should be
honestly,
qualified.
pretty sure all the government entities should have qualifications.
I agree.
So.
But then I saw, like, speaking of like one person, I mean, he made a post saying, the more I sit and think about it, the more I come to the conclusion that the radical left doesn't like themselves. That's exactly why they lose their mind. And I got to thinking, like, what is radical left?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. What is the radical left? Okay, when I think of the word radical, I think of like, okay, after 9/11, there was this whole sentiment about like people were scared of Muslims.
Yes.
There was, which we were children, so I don't think we were really, I didn't know anybody that was Muslim really at that time. Like,
No.
hadn't had a whole lot of interaction. But
Social media really wasn't as big as what it is now.
no, but there was still, I remember people talking about like, and then I got on the plane and there was a Muslim, and you're just like, what? And then what? And then what happened? Like, but I remember there being this whole like racism basically towards Muslims because they were associating all Muslims with these terrorists, and then as I don't know that we became more educated or we just had people that entered administrations that were more educated that were like, hey, wait, okay, that was like a radical version of that. The actual like regular Muslims don't even associate with those people because they're bat crazy, right?
Yes.
So when I think of radical, I think of like a group and then take like the craziest, most outlandish version of that group, right? Like
Yes.
people that would fly airplanes into buildings.
Yes.
Radical. People that would take out um, political speakers.
Yes. I will agree.
Radical. Like, you know, I don't think that because a person has views different than you, that makes them radical. Even if they're very far ends, like if you're one end of the spectrum and the other, I still don't feel like that is a definition of radical.
But even you look at like, I guess like Democratic policies, what would be a radical Democrat policy? Is it universal health care? Is it trying to get free pre-K? Is it trying to get free lunches for kids? Infrastructure? I mean, like, what is a Democratic radical policy
Okay,
that has been trying to get
so we'll
pushed out?
take we'll take their favorite one: trans people in sports.
Okay.
They love that one,
But
right?
is that a policy pushed by?
No, I'm saying like I feel like that's an issue that they associate.
Yes, with Democrats.
That not all Republicans, but that the loud ones
Yes.
associate with radical Democrats. Okay. Well, first of all, like I feel like that's an issue that they've made to be like they make it seem like it's so common and prevalent, and it's just not a super common and prevalent issue, right? But pretty much everyone I know that's like leans liberal, if you say, okay, well, do you think that someone who transitions from male to female should be able to play women's sports?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. Because at your genetic core, there's still things that give you an unfair advantage.
Correct.
And that kind of tarnishes that sport.
Yes.
And I feel like liberals are made to seem like they all think that all transgender, like, were male, now they're female, like, are trying to break into women's sports and take it over. And that's just not accurate. That's just, that's just where we are. But I think that they think that they all fall into that category. That's just one example that I can think of that, like, when people say stuff like that, I feel like they're kind of thinking that's one of the things they're thinking of.
But even like when you talk about like even like with sports, it's such a small percentage.
Right.
Like
they have like there's whole teams running around.
Like if you ask them, give me one on one team, they can't say, oh, that team over there, they got.
They'll be like, well, there was one in like Vermont.
They can give you one out of like, I don't know how many, but like this percentage of it is so small. Like me personally, like I just don't. It's so small that I don't care. Like I don't even think about it. Now, like I said, do I feel the same way? Like yeah, I feel like long as your levels are checked, like if they do testing, your testosterone not a certain level, I'm gonna tell my daughter she go play with the boys, go beat them.
Well,
that's how I kind of feel a certain way. Like, go beat them. But like I said, the percentage of trans even in like sports is so small. Like to me, like it don't even matter. But is that even a radical thing? Like,
well, here's a.
I don't think that's. Like, watch me. Like I don't think that's like a Democratic thing saying.
Well, no, I'm not.
It's not on the platform ticket.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's one issue that conservatives like to say that Democrats all are on board with. But I feel like there's sometimes in life where you're just some things just aren't in the cards for you. Okay, like, you go get them. You can do anything you set your mind to. Okay, well, can I play in the WNBA? I'm 5'2". I'm not super, like, athletic. Even if I was, I'm 5'2". Is the WNBA going to? Well, first of all, is a college going to recruit me to come play basketball there? No, they are not.
So then when I when I look at like radical,
that's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
When I look at radical political violence, if I start like thinking about headlines, I can go to January 6th. I can go to the Michigan.
But they don't view that as wrong. They don't think that's political violence.
So we got
that was their rights.
I can go to the militia in Michigan that took over the State House, the attempted kidnapping of the Michigan governor. I can go to the Congresswoman had her husband attacked with the hammer. Gabby Gifford got shot in the head. the Minnesota congressman recently she got killed,
And the dog.
Her husband got killed, and the dog got killed.
The dog
they
got
killed
killed.
the dog too. And then like you look at
Special place in hell for the people that did that.
when I look at like radical, which you might consider far right, you can name the Proud Boys. You can name the Nick Fuentes guy.
You know what? I did not even. I fell down another rabbit hole. I didn't even know who that guy was. Okay, real quick. I hate to sound like I'm stereotyping. How's a person with the last name Fuentes gonna preach white supremacy?
It's the same as the guy who leads the Proud Boys.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, he got a.
I don't ever mean to fall down these rabbit holes.
He has a Hispanic last name too as well. Hold on. Somebody, if someone knows right now, someone's like.
I did. I said I wasn't like gonna look at any of the comments and things on the podcast because I don't really like or want to.
His name is Enrique Torrio. Enrique, that's the leader of the Proud Boys.
Well, I noticed somebody had commented on one of the things about what is Christian nationalism. Mm-hmm. Because we talked about that in the last podcast, and like how is it different from just Christianity? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get on that soapbox again, but I do think that if you aren't familiar with it, you should look it up and see the difference, because it's a form of radical. It's a radical form that they call themselves Christians, but it's radicalism, I think, because they take a message, misconstrue it, and go wild to the far other end of the spectrum with it, right? Wouldn't you consider that like a form of radicalism?
Yes, it can be. But then, like I said, when you go back to the violence, so this is from ADL. From 2015 to 2024, 76% of, it says domestic extremist related killings in the U.S. Mm-hmm. 76% has been right-wing extremism.
That tracks.
76% has been right-wing.
Now watch out for that alt-right.
The next and second is domestic Islamic extremism, which is 18%. So the left ain't even the second. It goes to Islamists. And that's 18 compared to 76%.
You know, that feels an awful lot like falling way behind Mississippi in education.
From 2015 to 2024 is 429 total deaths that they said was politically by a extreme group. And 76% of it was right wing.
Well, I know you didn't get those numbers from the DOJ because
they're erasing.
They erased the.
Violence.
They are.
They're erasing it.
There was some study that talked about how much of it was right, and it's no longer able to be found on the website.
There's another one that tracks too, that we have ideology behind political violence, and once again, the right, it leads it by leaps and bounds. But the interesting part, it started growing in numbers after 2015. What happened after 2015?
I don't know. Do you know? Do you know the answer?
He who shall not be named.
Oh, was that 2015? Oh, yep.
That's when the numbers start growing.
You're right.
And you think about his rhetoric.
I wasn't thinking about 15. I was not thinking about 16. I was thinking about 15.
Well, for 15 on, that's when it started escalating up. And you think about even like his rhetoric at his rallies. It was rough him up, buddy him up. He had one comment about Hillary. He said maybe a 2A member will take care of her.
I remember that. There was also, I feel like when I bring this up to people, they don't remember it, but there was a guy in California who, this is brutal. He unalived his children with a fishing spear, and he was part of that. I can't pronounce it.
QAnon.
Yep. And supposedly, the voices told him to kill his children.
See, even that's another group that we can associate with.
Right. Well, I'd never heard of that.
They got all of these far groups, and it's like when you think of left.
Well, and when you Google that group, they specifically talk about how Trump is here to save them. And now has he came out and said yes, I support these people? Not exactly, but kind of he hasn't not.
Well, there was a congressman just today or yesterday. He said that if Charlie Kirk was around in Jesus' time,
I saw this.
he'll be a 13th disciple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, these like thoughts and ideas, they get pushed to one side of the political spectrum, and then you accompany that with Trump's comment on his fundraiser saying that smart people don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they target a specific type of person, and it's like, how do y'all not see that you're being targeted? It's almost like they're being groomed. They're being groomed slowly,
Yeah,
and
because
they don't realize they're being groomed to hate people.
well, and there was like something yesterday. I think that it was like something to honor Charlie Kirk, and he didn't even go. He played golf instead.
He was golfing. It was a memorial in D.C. and he was playing golf. He don't really care about these folks. All he does is ratchet up their anger, and then he pushes it.
Stirs the pot.
He pushes it. 'Cause, I mean, the same thing. Like I said, we talked about the shooting. We said, he came out immediately. It's left. It's left. It's left. Even J.D. Vance, he hopped on Kirk's podcast to say we're going after people with the radical left. So even though we know now that it's someone that was associated apparently with the Nick guy that's on far right, they're still pushing this narrative that somehow the left is their enemy. It's like they want to push them to keep thinking that somebody is against you. Somebody wants to take what you got. But like, I'm a Democrat. I got Republican friends. And what's funny is like, speaking of the same person, he said that they go seeking friends, end up with people just like them. Losers like being around losers. That way they measure up. I got plenty of friends that I have that's Republican, that's conservative, and like we can exchange conversation, have dialogue. But if all you're doing is consuming negative energy from Facebook or your news channel, it's slowly going to just decay in your brain. Your brain's going to decay, and you're going to fall into that hole of just everybody against me.
Yep.
Everybody's my enemy. That other side.
Well, it's just like sensationalism, and like the news takes part in it, like the big stations. And I mean, that's a tale as old as time, though. Like they paint a picture to get everyone riled up or scared or whatever, and like it rarely is an accurate picture. I mean, take all these big cities right now that they're bringing the National Guard into to keep them safe. Like, well, down here everyone's like, New York City, remember that commercial with like the salsa or whatever? But those cities are fine. Like, it's all sensationalism, and he's trying to push the envelope to see what he can get away with.
Here's the thing, like what they've done in D.C. Essentially, we welcome invading our own land with our own military.
Yep.
But people keep saying, well, crime is down in D.C. That's a fake number.
Well, actually, crime is down, but it's not down because of that. It's been down like the last couple years. It's been going down.
But even so, that would be like saying, my kid is great while you're watching them. Like when you turn your back and you leave, is your kid still properly behave or they do other things? Like the number that they keep saying is not. I mean, it's not a real number. Like, will that stay the same once the troops leave out? Will they stay the same? Maybe or maybe not.
Okay, but like
you can't big that up.
You don't invade somewhere and then within a week you got new numbers. Nice try.
But even like on our state level, like Tuberville recently came out and he says unity is a mistake. There is no healing with the left. And this guy's going to be running for governor. This guy is going to be running for governor of our state, and he's saying there's no healing.
And I don't know if anybody realizes this, but when you elect these people, whether it's president, governor, whatever, they're supposed to represent us all, even the ones who didn't vote for them. That's how democracy works.
And that's what they don't understand.
I mean, you do know, like originally when someone was elected president, the loser became vice president, not like you didn't just like blast them and like make them your enemy. It's like you were forced to work together, like, oh, you came in second place. Good job. You got the second place job, vice president. Like, maybe we need to go back to that where we're forced.
I don't know.
like people with siblings,
that would
like
be extreme.
You're gonna like get in the corner together, and and when y'all can get along, you can come out type situation.
That would be an extreme proposition.
It wasn't back then.
Yeah, back then it was all cool. It was.
We should get back to that.
So and speaking of like representing everybody, you look at Biden administration. So coincidentally enough, the county that had the flood in Texas, Kerr County, Biden included them in his infrastructure bill. He gave them $10 million for flood warning system. They didn't use it for flood warning. They didn't want it because Biden. It was Biden's money. It was Biden's money.
Okay.
And so they use it for
AKA
other.
taxpayer dollars, but okay.
They use it for other things other than that flood warning system. And then look what happened. Like a Democrat, we'll take it. Sure. You think I ain't spend Trump's stimulus check? Hey, man, I don't want this money. It's Trump. Like, we have a different way of thinking. Like, yes, like, how
I'm
dare
too
you?
proud.
Like, but that goes to show he gave Kerr County $10 million. $10 million. So like, I'm like, how do we end up getting to where?
Well, it's the same thing that happened with Katrina, with New Orleans. You know, when Katrina hit, yeah, it was catastrophic, but part of the reason it was so catastrophic is because they had money set aside, or they were given money specifically to fix those levees, and they didn't use it on that. And then the levees broke, as they were told they would if they didn't fix them. So I would say political corruption goes both ways when it comes to that kind of thing.
So here you go, Kerr County. So they offered $10 million in 2021 as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. It says residents had mixed reactions to the offered funds. While the county's commissioners faced pressure to reject the federal money, they eventually accepted it and used most of it to build a new first responder emergency radio system for the sheriff's department. So again, instead of getting their flood system, which they needed, and Biden administration was providing them, they were like, "No, we don't want it because of who it's coming from." But then, like I said, you go to our current administration. He's stripping money from Democratic cities, Democratic states. He's trying to find ways to take away money.
Penalizing them.
Really extorting them. And that too.
Well, it's just.
Don't like how do, I mean how do we get here where like the president is supposed to be president for all? It's no different than a mayor. A mayor is mayor for everybody that voted for him or didn't vote for him. You're mayor of the city. You're president of the United States. It's supposed to be united. But when something happened and a person comes out and immediately places blame without any evidence.
Like, for sure. He just does nothing but divide. There's nothing else to say about it. Really.
That's your focal point for like how they got to where they are. And now all they're getting is their leaders is just pushing hate, pushing fear, pushing they're coming to take this away from you, take that away from you. And like it feel like when you look at Facebook, you get that feeling.
Which is why that sometimes it's like you just got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
And then like, you know,
which is why as soon as this reunion's over Saturday, peace out, Facebook. I'm taking a break for a while. I don't know. And then you can find me on the gram.
You look at Obama. He just recently had a statement. It was he basically came out, condemned it, saying that regardless of what side you stand on, you can't have it accepted. It's like, how do we go from that to now we're just you?
So I used to would say that he who shall not be named was a form of extremism that did not represent the whole group.
Yes.
I used to would say that.
I feel like he was like a Tea Party.
Yeah, because I thought about that. Remember when the Tea Partiers were like the wild ones? Like we were like, Tea Party? Oh, well, that was tame compared to where we're at now.
What's it going to show? Like they always fracture these little groups. And they fester, and then they just grow, and then they go away.
It should always be a red flag when like they keep breaking off because they don't agree because they need to get more and more like conservative. We'll say that's their word, but I used to think that like he's extreme in that direction, so he doesn't. Except for the more I see, it just feels like a lot of people are good with it and on board with it. And like, I'm sure there are people on the left that are just really far out there, right?
Yes.
I've never really aligned. You said I'm a Democrat. Well, I don't really align either way.
Yeah.
I never have. Like, I've always just been pretty moderate, maybe libertarian-ish, although I'm not gonna like vote independent because that's a waste of vote. But as far as like ideals,
That is, I do agree.
but
That might be part of our problem too. This two-party system.
it is, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. But now, like I think there's probably people on both ends that are really far out there, except for the person on one end that's really far out there. A lot of people are really taken to that, and that's scary.
You can't have the person out there running the country.
No.
And that's where we at. And I'm saying when you keep pushing that hate.
Okay,
all your followers start to fill up with it.
I've got an example, like, okay, and I'm not saying he's just like him, but like I was never like a big fan of Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
I felt like he was a little too left as far as for voting him to run the country.
Okay.
He was a little too out there for me in that direction. I think he was probably a good person and stuff. I don't think he was like what we're dealing with now, but as far as his ideals, they just didn't really line up with what this country was founded on.
I agree, and I did not vote for Bernie in 2016, but I will say, in hindsight, I think I should have.
Well, hindsight, anything would be better than right now, but I'm just saying, like, I'm giving an example of the left where I'm like, I think that's a little more extreme than what I view.
But they also would have said Bernie was far left.
But
as a party though, we didn't support him. So I'm like, so you can't even say that all the Dems are far left because like he didn't win the primary.
Right, exactly. and I feel like, but now I feel like what we've got is so far right that it's pushed me left. Because I can't hang out in the middle anymore because the middle seems too neutral where I say I'm not really taking a stance with either side, but I have to say that now I'm more left because what's gone on has pushed me away from the middle away from what's happening. If that makes sense.
But I definitely think some folks, you need to log off Facebook, just take a breather, go touch some grass, go do some gardening, read a book.
Yep.
Go like have a mental reset.
For sure. No, I mean, obviously, I think most people know that it's not good for their health, their mental health, and they keep doing it anyway. Like I said, I would have gone off a while back, but I've been in charge of this reunion, and that's like the main way we've communicated and stuff. And so I've hung out, and that's Saturday, so I see a light at the end of the tunnel. But I told you the other day, like, I mean, it hasn't been a hard week. Like, not a lot's gone on in my personal life, but it's taken a toll on my mental health because I'm over here like, you think that way? Like, I'm reading these things with these people that I just am just appalled.
I saw someone and made a comment, and they said that essentially what happened in the shooting is the same thing as a woman being underdressed and being sexually assaulted.
I was
like, how do you even compare the two? That's not even a comparison. I mean,
that makes no sense.
It don't. Because I'm like, in one sense, we're in the ale house right now. So like, if someone comes in here and they're just running their mouth, talking all reckless, and I punch them in the face, that's not the same thing as a woman walking in. I feel like I got to grope her because of what she got on. It's not even the same type of. It's not even the same. And no one should be killed over what they think.
No,
or what they say. No one. But you do know certain words do incite a certain reaction for someone, and that's not the same thing as saying that a woman should be touched because of how she's dressed. Like, how do you even come up with that comparison? Like, it don't even make sense.
I think though it's just a representation of like how divided we are.
But it's almost like it's a huge reach. Like, why are we reaching so far to try to prove a point?
I think we're all just reacting off emotions, and it's just further dividing us. Because then a whole group of people is like they're the enemy, when that's not really.
That I don't dislike you at all. Like, I might not like you, but I also don't dislike you. You know?
I mean, I might dislike you, but I'm not gonna like do anything about it.
Like, yeah, this whole idea, you keep on the point, left is the enemy, and like I really don't see no one on the left saying, no one saying, hey, you're my enemy, you're my enemy, you're my enemy.
I've never even been in a fight. I mean, I might talk a little smack, but I'm a duck and run. To tell you right now,
You're too old for that now.
I had braces twice. I'm not trying to get my teeth punched out. Nope.
But I did see interesting stat, and I think part of our issue in our country is that we keep voting for old presidents. So do you know how old Trump is right now?
I know he's like, his hands are purple and stuff, and that's
Do you know how old he is? Know his age?
81?
He's 79.
Oh, okay.
Do you know how old Bush currently is? How old is Bush?
He's old. No, I'm not. I don't know. He's old though.
He's 79.
Oh, really?
Do you know how old Bill Clinton is? They all got something in common.
79.
They're all 79. Trump right now is the same age as Bill Clinton, who was president in the 90s. So we keep getting older with our presidents. The only exception has been Obama. He was the only exception.
And bless his heart, he looked old when he came out.
When he came,
golly.
when Jet Black came out, like, man, he
Bless
spent 30
him.
years in that White House. We keep getting older. We keep getting boomers.
But that wasn't his fault. That was that he looked like that because he was stressed.
We're close to 40, and we essentially...
I'm not. I am 29 and holding strong.
Well, majority of our life has been spent under boomers for a president. Boomers have been president for majority of our lifespan.
That has to end eventually. Hey, but you know what? I mean, old doesn't equal bad.
I don't think
it doesn't have to.
It don't have to, but I do feel like when you as someone leading the country, why not get someone that's looking forward for the future?
I agree.
Can we get a little younger and stop getting older?
But also, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. That's my favorite thing. I mean, we just interviewed last month. We interviewed Ronnie. And he even said himself that people had commented that he needed to be done because of his age. And he said he feels good, able, and he is.
You know what I'll say about him? I don't feel like he's sitting at home watching Fox News all day.
Well, okay, but like,
I feel like
because you're old doesn't mean you have to watch Fox News all day.
I feel like our current guy in the White House watches Fox News all day. I feel like that's his main source.
He calls Fox News and tells them what to put. Actually,
he does. And when they, this term, they said that they're going to turn his intel briefings into a style like Fox News, so that he will pay attention to it. Like that, but that's the difference. Ronnie's still out there. Ronnie's out there with the fan. Ronnie's out there dancing. He's still young at heart. He's still very young. His mental is young. His heart is young.
It's not even about your age or your age at heart. It's about how you view people.
Yes.
And I don't feel like there's not an age on that. That's the heart. That's not the age.
But like I said, me personally, can we get away from boomers?
Probably so, but yeah.
I'm just like, at what age do boomers fall off? Like, what's the youngest boomer right now?
Hey, you know what though? There's some promising stuff on the horizon.
It was fun. No, I'm not even
youngish.
Slick back hair.
Shiny skin.
Look, raspy voice.
California girl.
Little raspy voice.
A bit.
It's gonna be.
Hey, but also there's a couple really cool people like prominent like that are rising to prominence in politics that have some really cool ideas.
Yes.
And it's even though right now seems stressful and overwhelming, like that one video you sent me that like where he summed it up so perfectly that like he just kept saying I'm overwhelmed about everything.
Yeah.
And it feels that way right now. But I just keep telling myself if we can make it out of this alive and still intact as a country, there are some really cool people on the horizon that have some really good ideas, that love America, and just see see some better days ahead. And I hope that we can survive this so that we can see them.
Well, this weekend, like I said, we do got our 20th reunion.
10th, because I'm 29.
And it will be here at the Ale House. So hopefully we have a good crowd. Hopefully we have a good crowd. People come out.
Yeah, so if you're watching this,
we can have some beer.
Athens,
some wine slushes.
Class of 05, 20 years ago. Please come.
They better come. They better show up.
I'm still finding out about a few people that didn't know that. I promise I did my best. I promise I did. I said, spread the word, tell your friends.
And the Ale House is a great venue.
I tried to reach out to parents and spouses if I knew they weren't on
Oh,
social
you were digging
media.
deep. You've been,
I
you've
tried.
been working,
I got my
working.
yearbook out.
Oh, wow. You got a yearbook.
I do.
I don't have a high school yearbook.
Oh, you don't? You can borrow mine and look at it if you want to.
I
Ruby was looking at it the other day, and she's like, "Do I know any of these people?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's so and so's mom, so and so's dad." I was like, "There's Serge."
I wonder what I look like.
Really? I'm like, "Yeah, you don't see it? Yeah, kinda."
Maybe I don't want to see myself.
I mean, okay, you basically look the same, like, because it's just a headshot.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly the beard. You've had the beard for a long time now, and you had such a baby face in school. I think that's the main, like, shocking thing.
I couldn't grow hair. Had no options.
I mean, not a lot of people could in high school. So.
I mean, I don't know. Some
If you could,
Some,
maybe.
yeah, a few of y'all. Yeah. Actually, I hope it's a good turnout.
I hope so, too.
Ale House is definitely a good venue.
I did the 10th, and this is a way different vibe. Like, I feel like a lot of people for the 10th were like, too cool for school. Now, I think a lot of people are excited, like, looking forward to seeing people. I think some people are coming from out of town. Should be a good time.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see y'all next week. Remember, like, comment, and share.
Yeah. And be nice to each other.
Be kind. Yeah, that's a good ending. Be kind to everybody.
Yep.
Enjoy yourself.